So once you're here, there's a couple different things. So there's kind of two different types of booking pages, and whichever one you pick doesn't really matter. The personal booking page is kind of like it, the difference really is like OneDrive is to SharePoint. Your personal booking page is just yours. Did somebody have a question? Okay. So your personal booking page is just yours. You can manage it however you want. The name of the page is your name. A shared booking page, you can name it whatever you want. And you can also add additional people in there, so you can have multiple people with, if you want to think about a shared booking page as more like if you had like a hair salon and you had different stylists in there, everybody could be on the same booking page. Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
So it just kind of depends, do you think you want it to be called something different than your name? Do you think you might want to add other people? And that's going to kind of be the biggest difference as to whether you just say, okay, go to my booking page, or if you want to create a shared booking page.
I'll be the one like putting in all the dates. I don't know that anybody else will be like creating those meetings, so I don't know.
Yeah, so it probably doesn't matter. So it could be either one.
Okay.
Let's see. And the personal booking pages honestly are new. So that's why Beth and I have, and we've added each other to our own separate ones. But
Okay.
we probably would have set up personal ones if that had been an option then, but it wasn't. But we have shared booking pages now, so I'll just kind of take you to mine. So this is sort of the back.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question? Just
yeah.
kind of thinking fast forward. So with the letters professional learning, I will be doing multiple sessions like October through May.
Mm-hmm.
But then the RTC directors will, each RTC will have two offerings. So, but I am the contact that collects all their information and gets that to the company to get, like, I manage all of those. So how would I manage that? Like, we have one RTC right now who already has people enrolled, but eventually we're going to have 5. So
Okay.
they register on a Google form, but when we get ready to create they're going to be doing the same thing I'm doing, but with like 2 different like with 80 people, where I'm doing this with 134. So is there a way, like, do you have a recommendation about how to manage all that?
You could either leave those external ones in Google and just continue to collect that through Google. If you wanted to do that through here instead, what you could do is create a session that maybe wasn't an online session, so it wasn't going to auto generate that meeting link, and then you do have the ability to export the data.
Okay.
So if you wanted to then export it and send their portion out, you could maybe do that, but that I don't know whether that would be easier or harder than just keeping the external stuff in a Google
Yeah, I want to
sheet.
keep that stuff in a Google, but then, so that's just to sign up to participate. But then part of their participation is these 4 meetings. And this is where they sign up for those meetings, what we're talking about today. So I'm just
Okay.
trying to think ahead about how to manage
How to
the
manage all that.
signups. Yeah,
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that may be jumping too far ahead of the game right at this
No, I mean, I
moment.
think that's an important kind of piece. You don't want to build you don't want to set something up and go through the trouble of setting something up to realize, okay, it only works for one of these 5 pieces because that's the only one piece that we talked about. So it's an important thing to keep in mind. And it might just it might just be how easy how comfortable you feel with bookings and whether you feel like that's something that would be easy to manage all of that out of, because
Okay.
you can export. Let me show you kind of what that looks like. 'Cause we kind of stopped doing sessions for the summer. We got a little tired. I apologize, but so we're gonna have to go back here a little bit to see that. So there is a couple steps that you have to do with these exports. Why it exports like this, I have no idea. It says that it is an Excel export. It exports it as this weird little file called a TSV file. I can certainly walk you through these steps again, but what you do basically is come up to your view and make sure that you're showing file extension names so that you can see like the dot, TSV or XLS or whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
because then you can edit it. Normally, you never, ever, ever want to edit the file extension, but in this case, you do. You want to change it to XLS, and then you can open it.
Okay.
Why they don't just do that from the beginning,
Hmm.
I have no idea. And then it asks you, are you sure you want to open this? Which is good. You do want to open it. And then you've got all of your data, so you can, a lot of this you don't need.
Okay.
But then it's just like you know, your Excel sheet. So you can see what session, the date and time the session is, any of that. And so you might
Okay.
be able to kind of then parse this out and send it to whomever needs it.
Okay.
Um, so that's one option to kind of weigh as we're talking through
Okay.
this. The other option is if bookings kind of only covers one of your several bases, then maybe you want to keep everything in Google. It'll just be harder. Google doesn't automatically manage that cap,
Right. We
kind of
have
for
to have
you.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's the hard part there. So I'll kind of show you, let's kind of go through bookings, and I'll just kind of show you the backstage area. So whenever you come to your bookings page, and you might want to go ahead and set up a shared one just in case. I don't honestly know whether you can add completely external folks to it. Maybe there's the possibility that you can add some of them to it as well, and they can help manage. I'm not real sure. We can test that. I can test that for you later. But you've got a couple different menu settings over here. So your calendar kind of shows you what's kind of coming up. Your bookings page has all the information about your bookings page. You do want to make it, when you're ready to send it out to people, you want to make sure that you come to this drop down and you change it to available to anyone, because then it gives you this bookings page link that you would send, and these are the different sessions. You can, or services, you can name your services whatever you want. Some people that use this kind of feature is just open office hours will do, if they want to offer a 15-minute, a 30-minute, and a 1-hour session, that's what their services will say, to say 15-minute, 30-minute, 1-hour,
Okay.
block. So these can kind of look of a huge variety of different ways. And then whenever you select a service, it shows on the calendar what days you've set that service up to be available. And then if you've got multiple times throughout the day, once they select, now there's nothing, there's nothing available for here because I don't have any of these. I don't have any availability set for any upcoming months for these yet. So there's no dates, but in theory you would pick a date that would show up here, and then you could pick a time from either one time or multiple times, just depending on how you set it up. You can also ask for different details down here. So you can ask for more than just name and email if you want. You can make them required. But this is what you would send out, and then that way they just have the link, whatever their link is, that link's not going to change. And they would just always come here to get the latest trainings that you've offered available.
Okay.
Um, The other biggest one that you want to kind of set, and there's a couple little nuances, so I'm happy to set different things. I tend not to mess with like default scheduling policy and all of that. There's several different places you can set up scheduling. I think it's best to do it within the service itself, because otherwise it can, like, especially if they're different, because yours are going to be different services at different times, you're going to want to just keep all of that because it can get really confusing. So when you come over here to services, you can add a new service, or you'll see all the services that you already have. And so when you add a new service, you can give it a name. You can choose whether or not it is an online meeting. So if you want it to go ahead and automatically handle that Teams meeting link and all of that, then you can flip this on. You can also set your maximum number of attendees. So this is where you would set 40. You know, there's not a lot else here. You do want to kind of flip this off. One of the other things that you want to do is come over here and assign yourself as staff to it so that it emails you whenever somebody signs up. And if you don't see yourself here as staff, you can come over here to staff first, but it should automatically add you whenever you create a shared space. And so, but you can add additional staff. If you wanted to share it with other folks, this is where you would also bring them in and you can assign them different roles. So, but back here on their services. So once you've given it a name, you've given it your maximum attendees, you can set your duration here. So whether it's an hour, whether it's 2 hours, whatever that is. And then you want to turn it off of using the default scheduling policy and come here to availability options. So this is how far in advance they need to book it. So if you want them to be able to book it up to the minute of it starting, then you would want to change this from 8 hours, which is default, to, probably 0. If you want them to have to book a day in advance, then you would change that. Because as soon as it hits, below this minimum lead time, it's going to disappear from that calendar. And then here under availability, you're going to want to leave this as not bookable because you want to set different availability for different date ranges. And so this is where you want to come in and say, okay, so for, the month of August, I'm not going to say bookable when staff are free. I'm going to say custom hours. And then I'm going to set, okay, for Monday, maybe you want it Monday at 9, and you just want to offer one session at 9 and it's an hour-long session. You don't want to offer anything Tuesday, you can delete that. Or maybe you want to offer another session Monday, from 1 to 2. And then, you can just kind of come in here and fill out whatever other days and times you want. Maybe you want them to be able to pick 1 hour increments all day long on Wednesday. You would know your schedule, so you would just set your schedule here. You can set different availability for different date ranges. And so this is kind of how I control what's available, is using that custom hours for different date ranges. And you can always say, if it gets to the end of August, or let's say midway through September, you go, you know what, the schedule was fine, I'm just going to continue that. You can just change the end date instead of having to redo all of that. And you can just keep adding different chunks of availability. The custom, you can set what you want to collect. If you want to collect something else in addition to any of these, you can fill it out. So then it's basically like your Google form. You can set whether or not you want them to be required. You've got 2 different options. You can either have a text question or a drop-down question. So if you want to ask them, what school are you with or what district are you with, you could request that here. We'll just go ahead and create this.
Okay.
And then you can set whether or not you want that custom one required, I think. Yeah, to be able to. Um, you can always come back in here and edit. For some reason, it is not letting me. There we go. I hadn't selected it. So you do have to select it. That's weird. So now whenever we come here and I refresh, I should be able to see it. And so you can see how the dates that are available kind of show up as darker. I pick a date, I pick a time. I'm required to fill in, this information. Here's my custom one. So, and then when I say book, it's going to email me. It will email the staff listed on that service, a calendar invite for both. And then that's all you have to do. The hard parts that I've seen from this is that if you are managing a session, like if you're looking at it, let's say you want to go, look at it on your calendar from here, you'll see it on your calendar, but you won't be able to open it up, like you can anything else on here and see, who all is included. It's not going to show you that in this. You have to go
Okay.
to the bookings calendar to see who all is there.
Okay.
That's a slightly frustrating thing, but something that's kind of easy to get used to. You might be able to see, hopefully you can see your bookings calendar kind of as a part of your Outlook. And so that way you're not having to like constantly go to the browser to be able to see. I think you can also roll it into Teams as an app inside of Teams. You've got your apps down here on the left-hand side, and I think bookings is one of those. Yeah, so you can add it here as well. So if you prefer to work in Outlook or if you prefer to work in Teams, if you want it to always stay here, you can right click and pin it so that it's always here and available. And then Microsoft has now changed it so you have the same experience here as you do in the browser. It used to just be that like if you wanted to look at it in Outlook or you wanted to look at it in Teams, all you could see is a calendar. You couldn't do anything with it except for look at it. But now it's the same. It's the same experience regardless of where you access it. So now it's just a matter of your preference. But that's kind of a quick overview of bookings. You can also set some things in your business information if you want, your picture, whatever picture you want to show here, you set here as your business logo. You've got some basic details, that sort of thing. Things might be a little different on the personal page. I think it does kind of automatically pull in your Office 365 profile picture. And then, you've got some different, so it looks like you've got a little bit of different options here. I think you might appreciate the flexibility that the shared bookings page offers you.
Okay.
Because it looks like this is a little stripped down, just kind of now that I'm looking at it. So I would recommend setting up a shared bookings page, even if you don't share it with anybody at all.
Okay. Well, that's what that's what I was thinking, because I could always add somebody if I needed to later.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's really helpful to have that option to be able to, and then that way, if you ever transition to something else, you need to hand this process off to somebody else, that's much easier to do. You're not having to change people's links that they have and all of that.
Right. So I got in here the other day when you all sent me that information and just played around, but I was on the personal one and I didn't know what I was doing. And now I wish I could take off what I did. How can I take off what I did? Is there a way to, I can't find a delete button.
Let me add one here and see.
I mean, I guess it doesn't
Are
matter.
you able to like, do you have the 3 little dots here next to the thing?
Okay, wait, let me go back. Mine doesn't look like yours, but I
Do you want to
have,
share your screen?
okay.
And we'll just take a look at yours. Okay, so it looks like you created a shared booking page, but let's go ahead in that top row where it says go to my booking page, kind of up a little bit. Yep, right there.
Mhm.
Let's just go check and see what's there. Okay, I don't see anything here, so I don't think you set up anything on your personal booking page. I think you
Okay,
actually did it on a
I
shared
did
one.
a shared one. Okay.
Yep, so let's go ahead and go back. Yeah, so you go ahead and click on that one that's part 1, Letters EC Professional.
Oh, why does
Yep.
my calendar look like this?
So
Mm.
let's go. What it looks like the default is day by staff instead of like a monthly version. And so you've got this top ribbon up here where you can add time off, date by staff. The add time off, by the way, I don't know that it'll be applicable to you, but like when I'm running sessions, I put it for usually like a quarter at a time. And then sometimes there'll be a session or something that falls maybe on a week that I'm not available that day. And so what I do is use that add time off to block that day so that nobody can sign up for that session rather than having to
Okay,
go into the session itself and like weirdly adjust so that it skips a day. I just use
right.
the add time off to block it instead.
Okay.
Um, there's a lot of little nuances with bookings. I'm not sure with the way that you plan on using it that you'll need all of those nuances, but if you come across something and you're like, how would I do this? Or, just let me know.
Okay.
But then anyway, so next to add time off, there's day by staff with a little drop
Hmm.
down. So you can change that to, week or month or whatever you want to.
Okay.
So this is your bookings calendar. It's only going to start showing things when people actually sign up.
Okay.
So you would want to come over, let's go to staff first. Just check and see what's there. Okay, so it's got you set up. So let's go to services. And so you've got one session that's office hours. And so what you would do is just want to add any of the additional services for the particular day or date range that you.
So is that right? Is that this?
So that is the details for this particular one. So see
Oh,
up
gotcha.
above the list, you've got an add new service. So you've kind of got 3, yep, middle column there.
Okay.
Yep. So that's where you would go and add any of your new things you wanted to list there.
Okay. Gotcha. I I thought I put some, hold on, let me go back here. I put in some dates somewhere. Let me see if I can, because it would be in October. So I did these. Do I need to take that off?
Click on one of those. You may have listed it as like a new booking, which is basically if it's showing up here on this calendar, it means that you have set up someone with that
Okay,
training,
got
basically.
it. So
It
what I
kind
need to
of
do is I need like one, there will be 4 different dates, and each date has a different time.
okay.
So I need to do that back in the services, right? Not on
Yep.
here.
Yep.
Okay. So
Yeah,
if I cancel this, will it remove it?
it'll remove it from the calendar, but it's not going to remove it from your bookings page.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and, can I do all this here?
Yeah, you can. So you'll hit and send cancellation.
Oh.
What helped me kind of wrap my brain around how this works, honestly, if you think about a hair salon, this software is perfect for that. So if you think about it, like if you're putting something on this calendar, you're writing somebody down for an appointment.
Okay.
If you want to offer it as something somebody can choose, you do that through services.
Okay. Which is why I was trying to delete what I created. It didn't take me long to figure out. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going to wait for the meeting.
Totally fine. You know what? I learned best by just clicking around, and there's nothing that we can't undo here.
Regina, I have a question.
Yes.
If someone books, or if there's someone that takes up time on her calendar and bookings, does it automatically go to her calendar and Outlook?
It does, as long as she sets herself as the staff member for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, what it doesn't do is block that time on your calendar until someone like signs up for it. So, for example, with my services that I like the sessions that Beth and I offer like throughout most of the year, we kind of put a hold on our calendar so that she and I don't forget that that's the time. And then when somebody signs up for it, then it sends an additional meeting and we remove the hold. But that way too, somebody doesn't go, because there's a ton of people, and I certainly don't mind this. I encourage this. If you see free time in my calendar and you want to meet with me, feel free to go ahead and block it. But then that way, there's that sort of structure in our calendar already. You can set bookings up to where it looks at your calendar and only lets people like book if you're free. And so in that instance, putting holds on your calendar doesn't work. Then you have no free availability. But I think for the most part, the way that most people kind of want to use bookings, that sort of book when free doesn't work. So. But it does, as long as you're the staff member assigned, it will send an email to you letting you know somebody signed up, and it puts a calendar, invites you to the calendar meeting.
Okay, so for this part 1, I would do add new service. The first one is like October 18th at
Okay.
3:30 to 6:30.
Okay.
Then
Yeah,
there's
so
going to
let's
be
go ahead and
another
add
one. You want to do it?
Yeah, let's go ahead and add a service.
Okay.
Are they all the same name?
They're all part 1. So
Okay.
they will have 4 different dates and times to choose from.
So you could
I'm so
really
sorry
do
to
it.
interrupt.
Yeah.
I have another meeting. Is this when I leave this one to go to my other meeting, is the recording going to end?
No,
Okay.
it won't. It'll continue recording, and you'll be the owner of that recording.
Okay. I'll check in with you guys a little bit later. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you, Becca.
So you could really do it all under this one service, and we'll just set different availability options.
Okay. So if this is part 1, they're all going to be part 1.
Yeah, we can do it all under the same service as long as you want the name to be the same for all of them.
Okay, well, in October, they're all going to be part 1, but then the next time it'll be part 2, and there'll be 4 more dates with different times. Now, to make things even more interesting, this is round 1. So this is what we're calling the August start group. But in October, we're going to start another group, and they will have the same thing. They'll have part 1 with 4 different options to sign up, and part 2 with 4 different options. So
you could, I mean, it's up to you how you want to do that, honestly. Because you can also, there's the toggle there underneath default scheduling policy is whether or not you want that to show on the bookings page. So if October comes and goes and then you no longer want this one to show up there as an option and you want to create a brand new one for whatever's coming next, you're more than welcome to do that. Or you can continue to use this one and just add your different availability options as they become available. It's kind of how you want to organize it.
okay. What would you recommend?
Do you think it would be more confusing or less confusing to have it named for the specific group and then part? Like, do they know what group they're a part of?
They should. The August people should know they started in August, and the October people should know they started in October.
Okay. Then you could have the service names kind of reflect what group and then what part if you wanted to
Okay.
do that. And then you would
Okay.
just have, however many groups and parts there on there. And once, the August group is done with their part 1 meetings and those are no longer being offered for the August group, you could come back into the service and toggle off the show this service on this bookings page. So that way it's not on your bookings page. They can't continue to even attempt to sign up for it. It's just
Okay.
it's not there cluttering up the space. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So does the service name need to be part 1?
The service name is what displays there on the calendar initially. So I would definitely say part 1, and whether or not you want to include, the group name or something here. You can also include that in the description.
Okay.
They see a short bit of the description before it kind of drops off the screen.
So I could just put August group.
Mhm.
Okay. And then it is 3 hours.
And do you want it to generate the meeting link?
That would be great.
Okay, then I would see that add online meeting. I would toggle that on.
Okay.
And then let's scroll down just a little bit to maximum number of attendees. You're going to set that to your max. Okay. Now let's come over to the left-hand navigation here and let's toggle off default scheduling policy. Let's go ahead and go up there to assign staff. And let's select you. Now let's come up to availability options. And they're under general availability where it says bookable when staff are free.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to turn that off to not bookable. So general availability is not bookable. You're going
Okay.
to set a different availability for a date range. And this is where you're going to say, and it could just be a day. So if you only want it available, basically this is where you set your date and time, your dates and times.
Okay.
But you're going to want to say, instead of bookable when staff are free, you're going to want to change that to custom hours. And then set what day that is.
I think October 18th is a Wednesday.
I'll pull up my calendar here real quick and let you know. '18th, Wednesday, yes.
Okay. I think that was 3:30 to 6:30. But then that's the only day that week.
Okay, yeah, and so see the little trash cans next to the other times?
Mm-hmm.
You can just delete those. And then you can set a different availability for a different date range and set whatever the next date is.
So
Is
just
it
keep
that?
on going down here.
Yep. Is it that week? Are the trainings that week?
You know what? Hold on. I'm going to have to look at let me pull up my Excel sheet and see. I should have these dates memorized because I've only written them down 10,000 times. It's this one. One of these days. Okay, so it is, that was right, 10/18. There is another one that week on the 21st,
Okay. On Saturday,
8:30. No, that should be,
October 21st is a Saturday.
are you kidding me? Wait a minute, hold on. Did I must have messed these up. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Is, oh my gosh, hold on.
Oh, you're fine.
October? How do I have that? It must have been, it was supposed to, that should have been the 20th. Let me see if I have it right on this calendar. Yes. So it should have been the 18th and the 20th.
Okay.
So,
So let's go back over to your bookings. And so instead of starting and ending on the 18th, start it, let's say, let's just do for that whole week. So start it on the 16th, which is that Monday, and then end it on the 20th. Well, yeah, the 20th is fine. And then come down here and say, yep, change that drop down again. And so let's set it, so you're going to delete Mondays and you're going to delete Tuesdays. You're going to set it for Wednesday for your time range. I don't know why it cleared that out. It normally doesn't do that. Then you're going to delete Thursday. And then you're going to set Fridays.
oh, whoops. Okay.
Okay. And so those will be the 2 days that week. And then if you want, if you had other dates later, you could set different availability for a different date range and,
Okay. So
that
I
way,
just
if you've
keep
got,
on going here and then just click save changes.
yep. And you
Okay.
can always just hit save changes now. You would at least have these 2 dates out there on your calendar.
Okay.
That we could go look at. And so let's go take a look at what your bookings page looks like. So go over on the left-hand side and select bookings page or booking page. And so go ahead and click the hyperlink to open your booking page, not the drop down, just the hyperlink. Yep. And so now people are able to select that Part 1 learning professional. It says August group. That's great information. So once you select that, then you're able to kind of come down here and toggle to August and see. Now, I don't know if there's any, or talk to October. Sorry, it's not going to show anything in August because you
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
set any availability. But it shows you the 18th or the 20th. They can
Okay.
pick. Once 42 people register, it will close that one and they won't see that date as available anymore.
Okay.
Now, are there other pieces of information you want to collect from them?
I just need their name and email.
Okay, so let's go back to your bookings page. It opened this in another tab, so you've got your bookings page open in another tab
Gotcha.
over there. So now let's go back over to services and let's open that service back up. So you can select it and then select the little edit pencil. And let's go over to custom fields. And so let's toggle on customer email to required. And if you don't want to collect their phone number and customer address, you can uncheck the little boxes over on the left-hand side. If you don't want those to even show up there. If you don't care, you can leave
Okay.
them.
Yeah.
Let's go down to notifications too for a moment before we hit save. So this is where you can also set like how far out from your meeting do you want to email them a reminder, which is kind of handy.
Oh, yes.
So you can scroll down and like the default is 1 day. You can also choose whether or not you want an email follow-up. You can choose to delete that if you don't, or you can change it to be like what you actually want it to be. So this is kind of handy too, and it just automatically manages all of that. I think a
Okay.
30-minute reminder is super handy. That's what I tend to use. But it kind of depends on your, a day in advance might be more helpful to you, or you can set up multiple reminders.
That's what I was
Just
going to say. Can they get an email reminder the day before? Oh, well, wait, that's 30 minutes after. Never mind.
So right above, so they can have, it's add email reminder right above that one. Nope, keep going up. Right there.
Okay.
So those are your in advance reminders. You can have however many you want.
That's what I was going to say. So I like a week before, but then I think a day before would also be good, maybe. So how do I do that?
So you've already got your one day before. That's default. So I would just enter
Oh, okay.
in, whatever your message you want to send them, leave that timing as 1 week before. Enter in your message and hit save changes. You can also
Okay.
edit the default. You may want to edit it, like the body of the message, to be a little less generic.
Okay.
And
I'll
then you
just
don't have to have a follow-up if you don't want to. You can just delete the follow-up if you don't want it to send something to them afterwards. But if you do, that's super handy as well. So if there's something that, if there's some sort of exit slip or whatever.
Is that, I mean, just to.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what if I don't want an email follow-up?
You should be able to hit that delete button next to it. Is it not letting you? We'll go ahead and save it. You may want to edit the one that's sent 1 day before, because it just says a quick reminder your service is coming up.
Oh.
So there's a little edit pencil there.
Oh, yeah.
Let's go ahead and hit save changes there. Wait, scroll down just a hair. Okay, save changes on that. And then big save changes. And then we're going to come back in and edit that again and see if it'll let us delete that follow-up thing, because it should have let you delete it. So let's go back to notifications. Scroll all the way down. Okay, yeah, so now it'll let you delete that. So you don't have to have an email follow-up.
Or, wait a minute, let me ask you this. If I need to send them a certificate.
I don't know if you can attach anything, but
Okay.
let's just click add follow-up email and we'll just
Okay.
play around and see. So scroll down for a second.
That would be fabulous.
It doesn't look like it. But you could insert a link. So if you had it like in your OneDrive and you created a public sharing link, keep in mind though, they could just forward that. It wouldn't have their. What you could do instead is export that list afterwards and use mail merge.
Okay.
Because you'll have their name and their email.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So then discard that and it's gone. Okay. So save that. Oh, this is a lot of stuff to remember. I'm glad I've got this recorded so I can go back and look at it.
It is a lot. There are a lot of pieces to bookings.
Well, and it's nerve-wracking that 134 people will be waiting for this information from me. So it's got to be correct. So I don't get 134 emails saying this doesn't show up like you said.
Yeah, well, we've already checked that it's on the calendar on the 2 dates that you showed that you wanted, so that's good.
I wonder
want
if
them,
there is some information that you could also share with them, like you've been requested to sign up for this class or whatever it is, through Microsoft Bookings, and then send with that email, send them a link that will let them know a little bit about Microsoft Bookings. I did that for you, Lori, but I don't know if that was helpful or not helpful.
ideally, they shouldn't need to know how any of like the back end stuff works, right? Because they're just picking like their session and the date and the time.
But I mean, there's probably a walkthrough of how to sign up for, you know what I mean? Like on YouTube or something, there's probably a quick how to sign up, how to select a service on Microsoft Bookings or whatever. Because I found with ESS that it wasn't, I had a little bit of trouble. A couple people had a little bit of trouble because the options don't pop up until you select a service.
That's true. That is true.
And I'm just trying to think ahead about what issues I had with ESS and give information. I mean, not about all the bells and whistles of bookings, but just a quick how to sign up for something. I'll look around, Lori, and see if I can find something that wouldn't give them too much, but might lead them in the right direction.
So probably this, let me edit what that was called.
So go down to your business information and basic details. And you can edit it there.
So the whole thing is just going to be the LETRS Professional Online, right? That's what I want this to say.
Okay. So that's what now if you flip over to the other tab, that is your booking, like your public bookings page. And then go up there and refresh. There you go. So now it's
okay. So then I wanted that to be professional. Okay. So then when I want to add part 2, I'll just add a new service. Is that right? Okay.
Yep.
So then it'll be another block on here that says part 2, professional online learning.
Yep.
Okay. Where was it that I can limit when they can sign up?
That's in the services details. So you would go back and you'd edit. And it's under availability options. It's there at the top. So you have a maximum lead time, how far in advance can they sign up, and a minimum. So your minimum right now is 24 hours in advance. So they can't sign up, past 3:30 the day before.
Okay.
But they could sign up now.
Okay. Yeah. When I tell them about this, I'm going to they can go ahead and sign up. So do I just, yeah, that's fine. So do I share this link?
You'll share the other link. So the other tab that we were just in, that is your public booking, you'd grab that one.
This one?
So go up to the URL there.
Right here.
Yep. That's what you would share.
And that's what I share? Okay. Okay. All right.
Do we want to take a look at your office hours and make sure that that matches with what you were hoping to set up?
Yeah, so for this, there shouldn't be any except what's in that part 1, right?
So your office hours was a session that was already out there as available for selection.
Okay.
Do you still want that available for selection? Okay, so let's go back over to your bookings, like the behind the scenes. Yep.
Okay.
And so select your office hours session there, right underneath your part 1.
Gotcha.
And so let's edit. You can either delete it, or if you think you might want it later, you can go and edit the service. And then just toggle off publishing options, show this service on the bookings page, and then go ahead and save changes. And now that won't show up. because it's not published.
Okay.
Let's go back and make one more change. So go ahead and edit your Part 1 professional. And go to assign staff. And the toggle that says allow customers to choose a particular staff for the booking there in the middle, toggle that off and hit save. And now let's go take a look at your bookings page and refresh. There you go. There was no need for like there's only it's you leading it. There was no need for that just
Okay,
extra
right.
clutter there on the space.
Okay. Okay. All right. So when I get ready to add more dates and times on this, like under this, when I want more dates and times, do I go here and edit?
Mm-hmm. Yep. If you're adding more dates for the Part 1, then yeah, you would just edit your service.
Okay.
And you'd go to availability options.
Okay.
And then you'd scroll down and add a new
Down here.
set of
Okay.
different date availability for
Okay,
date
got
range.
it.
And you're gonna want to basically copy. So set a new date range, custom hours. You're gonna set your start and end. If you've got multiple sessions in 1 week, you can do like what you did this one and set it at the beginning and then at the end of the week.
Okay.
And just fill in what days.
Okay. Got it. And then when I get ready, when I want on here, when I want another box like this, but it says Part 2, that will be add a new service right here, correct?
Yep.
Okay. It makes sense in my brain at the moment.
You're more than welcome to reach out whenever you want to edit any of these
Okay.
parts. I'm super happy to sit and
Okay.
edit them with you because there are a lot of parts to bookings. It's a super
Okay.
helpful tool, but there's just a lot of parts to it. So
Yes.
happy to sit with you and do it.
And it's recorded, so I'll give you
Yes,
a
that was
link
genius, Becca. Thank you.
today. I'm trying to think, Regina, what do you suggest with this link? I don't want to have it open up to everybody, but I do think this would be, I mean, like on the public YouTube page, but I do think this would be helpful if Lori wanted to share it with her teammates. So I might leave the link, like anyone with a link can see it.
Yeah, and I would just adjust the expiration date so it doesn't expire in 60 days.
Well, I'm going to put it on YouTube so that it doesn't.
Okay.
That's
okay.
Yeah, but we didn't, not YouTube in terms of like all of our Kentucky Leads people will be able to find it, but so that Lori can share it with her, if she's going to open this up for other people, that they can have this too. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.